Okay, class, today we're going to be learning about the frog life cycle, so let's hop to it. What do we know about frogs? Where can we find them?
You can find them everywhere, like in your backyard.
Okay, and what do they look like?
Usually they look green and slimy.
Okay, and do we know what they eat?
Bugs.
Okay. Okay, let's start with the first stage of the frog life cycle. We will first begin as an egg. Frogs are amphibians, so like most amphibians, they lay eggs when they reproduce. Depending on the species of frog, they can lay up to 1,000 eggs or just a few. Frog eggs are laid in wet environments like lakes and ponds, like you said. The second step is the tiny tadpole. After the eggs hatch, we are tiny tadpoles. You may be thinking this doesn't look like a frog, but a tadpole is just the start of a frog life cycle. A tadpole is born with gills and it can breathe underwater like a fish. They live and grow in water. Have y'all ever seen tadpoles?
I have before.
They're also referred to as minnows. The third stage of the frog life cycle is a tadpole. Next, we are grown tadpoles. We spread our legs and we are growing underwater. A growing tadpole still has its tail and still has gills to live underwater. As our life cycle as frogs continue, we will start to undergo metamorphosis. Through our growing bodies will change and we won't breathe through gills. Okay, so we're going to pause right here and we're going to discuss what is metamorphosis. Have y'all ever heard that word before?
I haven't.
Okay, so metamorphosis is a process that some animals go through to become adults. It is a series of physical changes, and in most cases, it occurs in insects like butterflies. Um, but frogs also undergo metamorphosis. Their bodies change and their gills become lungs. Through metamorphosis, frogs can breathe air, like I said in the last slide. So after the tadpole stage, once we transition to the next stage, we will undergo metamorphosis. The fourth stage is called the froglet. Have y'all ever heard of a froglet?
No.
Okay. So this is a picture of a froglet. Through metamorphosis, we will start to develop functional lungs for breathing air like we do humans. Our diet will change as well. Froglets are very close to adult frogs, but they still have their tail, as you can see in the picture. We, as froglets, breathe air and eat insects living on land, like you said earlier. A froglet, as well as an adult frog, will eat insects. And the last stage is an adult frog. Um, our last step to becoming an adult frog, we are fully grown. We no longer have a tail, and we are adult frogs like the ones you see in our daily lives, like the ones you see in your backyard and by the pond. Okay, and then we're gonna pause on this lesson. We're gonna do a little check for understanding. So, if you could tell me, where do frogs live?
Frogs live by water like ponds.
Good. Frogs, yes, as amphibians, live by bodies of water like ponds, lakes, sometimes in the rainforest, depending on the type of frog. But yes. And then, how many stages are in the frog life cycle?
5.
Yes, 5 stages are in the frog life cycle. Can you name the stages in order?
There's egg,
Mm-hmm.
tiny tadpole,
Mm-hmm.
tadpole, froglet, and adult frog.
Good job. Yeah, all 5 stages are as follows and in that order, so good job. Um, can you tell me, when do frogs lose their tails?
When they become adult frogs.
Yes, good job. The last stage that a frog has its tail is known as the froglet stage, and then when it becomes an adult frog, it loses its tail. How do frogs develop lungs? What's that called?
Metamorphosis.
Okay, and what is metamorphosis exactly?
Metamorphosis is how a frog becomes an adult by developing lungs instead of gills.
Good. So instead of breathing underwater with gills, frogs develop lungs and they breathe with their lungs like humans do, and they breathe air. So that is what metamorphosis is. Is there any questions? Anything you would like to ask me?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so good. A little wrap up would be frogs live next to bodies of water, small bodies of water, fresh water like ponds, lakes, maybe found in like the rainforest or just in your backyard too. There are 5 stages to the frog life cycle: the egg stage, tiny tadpole, tadpole, froglet, and the adult frog. Those are the stages in order, and the frogs will lose their tails after the froglet stage, transitioning into an adult frog. Frogs develop lungs through metamorphosis, which is a sequence of events that physically changes the insect or the animal to become an adult, which is um how they develop lungs instead of gills. So we're going to do a little activity where we're going to have a little motion or action to show each of the 5 stages of the frog life cycle. So I'm going to demonstrate and then we can do them together as a class. If you have any questions, just let me know. So this is kind of gonna be what we're gonna call what if we were frogs. So what if we were frogs? How would I demonstrate the egg portion of the frog life cycle, the first stage? You know, eggs are usually small little tiny balls like this. So we're gonna sit in this little movement, this little action right here for the egg. And then to symbolize a tadpole, we have no arms, we just have some little tail right here. So we're gonna symbolize the tadpole, the tiny tadpole, by doing this with a little tail and no arms. For the regular tadpole stage, we're going to have our tail and some legs. Y'all see that? Our tail and some legs. And then for the last stage, the froglet stage, I mean, no, not the last stage, but for the fourth one, the froglet, we have a tail, we have our legs, and we have arms. So we have a little bit of this motion. Okay? We're gonna go through this all together. And then for the adult frog, we're gonna get into our little froggy position like this. Okay? I'll help you out through it. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So let's start off as an egg. Okay, can you tell me what the next step of the life cycle is?
The next step is the tiny tadpole.
Okay, and what do they have? Do they have arms or legs or tails?
They have a tail.
Good. Okay, so this is our little motion for the tiny tadpole. Okay, what's next?
Next is the tadpole.
Tadpole. Okay, so tadpoles have their tails and they have their legs. Next, for the froglet, we're gonna do this. Do froglets have tails, legs, and arms? Just tails? Just legs?
Froglets have tails, legs, and arms.
Good. Okay, so this is our froglet position. And then for the adult frog, what do we do?
The adult frog will get in our froggy position.
Good. Froggy position like this. Ribbit, ribbit. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so all together, one more time, and then we'll wrap up the lesson. So at first we have the egg. Got it?
Egg.
Egg. And then we have,
Tiny tadpole.
okay, and then we have,
Tadpole with legs. Tadpole's arms and legs.
this is called the froglet because it has arms and legs. A tadpole only has legs and a tail.
Oh, okay. So you're doing the froglet right now.
Yes. Arms,
Okay.
legs, tail, froglet. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then what's our last stage?
Adult frog.
Okay, let me get a ribbit.
Ribbit, ribbit.
Okay. So when we're coming to wrap this up, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, was this interesting? Did y'all like it?
I liked it. I like frogs. I like catching minnows a lot at my camp.
Okay, awesome. Um, so now when we think about frogs and the frog life cycle, we're going to have to know what metamorphosis is, what are the 5 stages, and the correct order the 5 stages come in, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. If there's anything I can help y'all with, just let me know. And if you need help knowing the 5 stages and what order they come in, just always think about our little motions, the egg, the tadpole,